All right, ladies and gentlemen. After a shocking revelation of the fact that One Piece actually dropped today and not tomorrow, I'm happy. So, to continue with that happiness, let's move on to today's chapter of My Hero Academia. Yo, peoples! Kyushu92 here, and welcome back to My Hero Academia. We gotta continue off of the whole Uraraka versus Himiko Toga fight, because Uraraka awakened her zero-gravity quirk, allowing her not to only affect one individual, but everyone else who's connected to that one individual. So in a similar way to Shigaraki's decay quirk and how it evolved during the whole Deka City battle, Uraraka's quirk has pretty much evolved in the same way, as she now prepares to take on Himiko Toga. So let's begin with today's chapter. Ooh, and this is a beautiful cover page showing all the characters. Chapter 394, Ochako Uraraka versus Himiko Toga.
There's something weird about my zero gravity.
What the?
I don't get it myself.
As it shows all of the Twice clones floating in the air. And since all of the Twice clones are basically, cascading over the environment like a wave, they're all being affected by this evolved zero-gravity quirk of Uraraka. And thus, they're all floating in the air. Now, mind you, I did talk about, the regular drawbacks to Uraraka's zero-gravity quirk. But let's see how it goes.
There's something weird about my zero gravity.
And it shows the two panels when she touched one twice, and a surge went through all of them, and they all got affected, and thus started to float in the air.
What the? I don't get it myself. Whole chains of us are floating. Oh yeah? Well, what if I make a new double?
And then Toga tries to make a double, and that double starts floating. No matter what Toga does, she's not gonna create a clone that is incapable of floating. That's just gonna drop out of her. Since she's creating that clone is an extension of herself. And since it is an extension of an individual who's already floating, that person is then going to start floating away from Toga. So no matter how many clones she makes, they're all going to keep floating.
Same problem. It's just like me that other time. Like what happened when I almost was killed.
And then we got Kamui Woods. Tiger! Kamui Woods, are you the real one? With these wounds, a fake would have already melted away. But man, I thought the girl's max capacity was 3 tons. These kids, I swear, they've come a heck of a long way since boot camp last year. Ain't it crazy how we're at a point where Uraraka's quirk has evolved a full year after the whole boot camp incident when they first came in contact with Himiko Toga? Ain't it crazy how her power has increased in this moment? These kids, I swear, they've come a heck of a long way since boot camp last year. Then we cut back to Uraraka, who's still bleeding from the stab wound.
My whole body's going cold. But what matters right now is that I want to reach out and touch that sorrow inside you.
As it shows, Uraraka is still attached to Himiko Toga with her, her drop cord. And it shows that Uraraka is still heavily attached to Himiko Toga right now, despite her trying to get away. But we also see that Himiko Toga has dropped her blood valves. You know, the big thing that she had to ingest blood after stabbing people with it? That whole harness just falls off of her, so she doesn't have access to that now. And she's left floating through the air amidst the floating mass of Twice clones. Also, Snow, I didn't say hi to you when you first got here. My apologies. Legitimately, MC Hammer, you can't touch this. Really? Also, Michael Malger, good to see you as well. And Nicole Norfleet, welcome back. But she's just, and also, if you guys want to see what I'm seeing, either go to the official site on Viz or go to Manga Plus. That's a good alternative for people who don't want to pay for the subscription. But for me, I pay for it because I support the official release. But they're both floating through the air, but in this mist of these Twice clones in airborne.
My family was poor, and my folks were always looking kind of gloomy. I set out to become a hero to make their lives easier and cheer them up. But as I grew up, I learned that the world's full of other people, not just my parents and our home.
And Himiko Toga's steadily trying to get loose from the drop cord that's attached to her. She's steadily trying to get undone by it.
And then I fell in love with Izuku Midoriya, and now I'm trying to stop you. She admits it! She admits it!
Wow! She finally admits what we all knew! She finally admits that she loves Deku! She finally admits it! I'm so happy. She done said it out to the world.
And then I fell in love with Izuku Midoriya, and now I'm trying to stop you! That's who I am! That's why I'm here right now!
And while they're airborne, Himiko is steadily trying to stab Uraraka over and over. She's gone berserk.
So tell me, what's on your mind? Your thoughts and feelings. All of it!
And it shows all of Himiko's memories. Times when she was a kid, times that she ran into different people. Like all the people she's come across. Seeing Izuku Midoriya, ingesting blood from different people. All the major situations that Himiko has been a part of. And it shows, like in this mindscape, a young child Uraraka holding her arm out for Himiko Toga to bite into. And Himiko has turned into some sort of weird creature that wants to stab her. But then Himiko starts tearing up. And then she finally speaks.
I fall in love real easily. With animals, with villains, with heroes, with boys, with girls. After all, they've all got such amazing blood pumping through them.
And then Uraraka's just listening to her.
Mm-hmm. They tell me to stop grinning, and I get so jealous. Mm-hmm.
And both, not only is Himiko Toga tearing up as she's finally speaking. Finally, this is the breakthrough. This is the breakthrough that a lot of us were looking forward to. This is the breakthrough that all that Himiko needed when she was younger. This is what she needed to keep her from being into this big villain that she is now. This is all it really needed. Just someone who wanted to voluntarily listen to her and not treat her like a monster, but treat her like a person and help her understand that her way of thinking is dangerous to those that she loves. This is the breakthrough that she's needed all this time.
They tell me to stop grinning, and I get so jealous. Mm-hmm. Izuku reminds me of a boy I used to like. His name was Saito. But it's not like I could just ask him for his blood. 'Cause then he'd call me a freak or something. Then he'd think I was definitely not cute at all.
And while they're flying through the air, it turns Himiko and Uraraka into the child versions of themselves as they're tussling in the air.
Just like you and Izuku, they'd all scold and lecture me on the right way to be. That's why I joined the League of Villains. 'Cause with them, I could live and love how I needed to!
And it looks like Himiko is preparing to stab Uraraka, but she misses Uraraka on purpose.
The signs were always there from you, but it took me so long to notice.
And then...
Time's up. Jin's blood is used up. Jin is fading away.
As the power of Twice finally fades from Himiko Toga, all of the Twice clones start to fade, start to dissipate. That's a better word. Start to dissipate. and everyone starts to float back down to the ground, including Earphone Jack. Jiro, she starts to float down to the ground as well.
Uraraka!
And it shows Uraraka holding on to Himiko Toga. Holding on to her as they float through the air in this big hazy mist of Twice clones that start disappearing all around them.
Well, the thing is, I think there's something real amazing about someone who's all ragged but trying their darndest anyway. So maybe I'm no replacement for the League, but I want you to know how special I think your smile is.
And then Himiko starts tearing up.
Izuku Ochako, I love you, but...
And then it cuts back to the present.
Am I cute? The cutest in the whole world.
And then Himiko smiles, genuinely, as we get a big massive panel as all of the Twice clones from Sad Man's death parade disappear into the air. And the only ones who are left are Ochako Uraraka and Himiko Toga. And that's the end of the chapter. Ladies and gentlemen, the breakthrough that Himiko Toga needed all of her life. Don't get me emotional because this was it. Don't you start. This was the breakthrough that Himiko needed from the very beginning. Her parents couldn't give it to her. Core counselors couldn't give it to her. Even her own friends couldn't give it to her. But it took this farm girl. It took this farm girl who was brought up on smiles and wanting to see people happy. It took a while. It took a while. You got that Korean style shirt. You always wanted that. This is just a regular dress shirt. This is just a regular black dress shirt, but I roll up the sleeves because it makes me far more maneuverable. But good to see you, Cdes. But it took a while, but Uraraka was finally able to get to Himiko and give her the breakthrough that no one in her entire life, not even the League, could even give her. And I'm happy. Makes you think about the little Shigaraki that Deku saw when the Vestiges fought All for One, that little boy that was crying for help. Yeah, that the eyes of Tenko, the eyes of Tenko surrounded by the hands that are trying to hold Tenko back. That's the one that the Midori is trying to get towards, trying to resonate with. Ochako has pretty much eliminated, in a heroic way. This is by far the most heroic way that a villain has been taken down. But we finally did it. This was one of the more outstanding fights that I was hoping to see resolved. And this was by far the most satisfying conclusion to a villain altercation that I've seen thus far. Shoto coming in and then helping his family freeze over Dabi, and to ensure that he doesn't go off and stopping it. Then we have who else? We had Spinner getting taken down by Shoji, or at least him, pretty much losing out on his quirk and him suffering the after effects of it. But seeing all the other villains get taken down during this whole fight, Dabi and Himiko Toga especially were the more prominent ones. But Himiko being taken down in the most heartfelt, genuine way is by far one of the greatest ways I've seen a villain get taken down in this whole series. And that includes All for One getting his face smashed in by All Might during their final altercation. Or Uraraka never gave up. See, a lot of heroes would normally give up, saying like they're beyond saving. Uraraka never gave up, because she saw something in Himiko Toga that needed to be brought forth by not harsh words, not promises that I'm not going to do anything to you, but you're still going to jail, you're still going to suffer for your crimes, you're still going to answer for all that you've done. Oh, you're a villain, I can never forgive you. What Uraraka saw was a person who needed help. You know, what a hero is supposed to look out for. And she still did her best, even after getting stabbed. And, messed up by Himiko and the Twice clones, she still stayed with that same ideal. And it wasn't even just during this fight that Uraraka had this mindset. She had this mindset ever since she ran into Himiko Toga again back in the destroyed city after Makia ran through there. And it's been ever since then that she's had this mindset that I'm going to save this person, but I got to make them see reason. This is by far the best example of talk no jutsu that I've ever seen. It's sad how both really just wanted to be seen by who they cared for and turned dark because no one understood them. See, this is the reason why I love My Hero Academia so much. There's so many examples of all it takes for a lot of these villains to not to become villains. All it should have taken was just someone taking the time to look after them, make sure that they were mentally okay. Does Toga have a sister? No. But the fact that I gotta stay on task here with this chapter. The fact that Uraraka never gave up. She never said, like, Himiko Toga was beyond saving, I'm gonna kill her, or anything of that nature. First of all, Uraraka's not even that type of person. She never gave up on the idea that maybe I could talk her out of this. This is the most successful talk no jutsu that I've seen. What book is this? It's not in a volume yet. It's not in a volume. It's not published in a volume yet. It's just chapter 394. But it's not in a volume yet because those volumes haven't been released. The only recent volume that's been released is volume 33? Hold on. No, 34. Volume 34 is the most recent volume that we have, and that's all the way back when Star and Stripe appeared. But this is way ahead where the physical volumes are in the US, so you're not going to see that book for a hot minute. But this is why Uraraka is one of the best new heroes. To come out of this whole war. We've had many pro heroes show up, do their thing, not like pushing them aside or anything, but Uraraka has shown once more that she has the power to sway people. And this isn't even linked to her quirks. This is just her charisma and just the fact that she's just a genuinely good person. First, we saw a good example of how influential how much weight her words carry when she convinced the civilians to let Midoriya rest and sleep, even though a lot of them were against the idea because they saw that All For One was after Midoriya, and therefore any place that Midoriya was dangerous to be around, and they only cared about their own safety. But it took Uraraka convincing them that this person is literally the best hope we have to have a tomorrow. So please let him rest. And after much deliberation, they started to realize that, hey, she's right. We've been relying on Hero to get all this stuff done, and while we've been sitting on the sidelines, maybe it's time for a change. And now we have Uraraka doing that same level of talking people to their talking to people's hearts. And she did that for a villain who really wanted to kill everything and everyone. Himiko's mind snapped, okay? Realize how big that is. When a person snaps mentally, it takes a lot to bring them back. Especially if all their lives they were told one thing and another thing and another person tells them another thing, being pulled in two different directions until their sanity is just straight up gone. And Uraraka was able to bring Toga back. Let that sink in. She was able to bring a villain who was so dead set on killing everyone around her, overwhelming an entire city in her sadness, but also her rage. And Uraraka was able to talk her down and bring her back. Bring her out of that dark place that she's known ever since she was a child. Ever since she was a small, single-digit aged child. Uraraka was able to take years upon years of anguish, anger, hate for the world and how no one would allow her to be who she is. And she was able to get to that little Himiko Toga who desperately needed someone to listen to her, someone to tell her that she's not a freak, someone to tell her that she's okay just the way she is. Give her reason. Show her reason. And Uraraka was able to get to that one. She was able to get to that place. Bring her to a place where she can actually have a conversation with someone and it's not weird. Have a conversation with someone and she actually feels genuinely happy. Not a smile of maliciousness, but a smile of happiness. This is why Uraraka is one of the best characters in this entire series. She has that Deku heart to save someone no matter what the status is. Just like in the beginning, Bakugo bullied Deku most of their childhood, but when he was in trouble, Deku didn't hesitate. Exactly. Uraraka is one of the greatest upcoming heroes of this entire series. Dang, Midori, you got a real one. Because in the same volume, she pretty much professed her love for Izuku Midoriya. There's no more speculation. There's no more assumptions. She flat out said it. This is by far one of the best chapters of My Hero. Why is it that some of the best chapters of My Hero have Uraraka involved in it? Some of them have it. But when she's involved in those chapters, it tends to be like a very good chapter, especially when she's prominent. This was a great chapter. This was great. And going back to what you said, Michael, looks like the fight is over and we can finally go somewhere else, maybe to All Might versus All for One. Yes. With that, with Twice's blood and the power of Twice's quirk fading from Himiko, the Twice invasion, the Sad Man's death parade is no longer a threat. Himiko Toga is no longer a major threat because Uraraka is there. And if Uraraka is there, then Himiko Toga is going to be all right. As long as Uraraka is there, Himiko Toga is going to be fine and she's no longer a threat. So now we only have two major threats left. All for One versus All Might. And then finally, Midoriya versus Shigaraki. Those are the two final major fights that are still here. Twice died? Yes, we're aware. Yeah, we're aware that Twice died. Himiko Toga is capable of using the quirk of other people now. Ever since the fight back at Deka City, she's been able to use the quirks of people's blood that she's ingested, and she's always had Jin's blood this whole time. Jin is the name of Twice. So yeah, we know Twice has passed on. That's literally the whole reason for this ginormous fight with Himiko versus the world. But thankfully, it's been put at rest. And also, Jin's quirk has apparently been put at rest as well, because since the power's faded, it's no longer out there. And we need a status update on Bakugo and the surgery that took place. Yes, we still got more things to go over. We still have Deku versus Shigaraki. We still have All for One versus All Might. We still have Bakugo getting his body healed up by Edge Shot. And then we still have that whole matter of Kurogiri taking Aizawa and Present Mike somewhere. So, even though it seems like there's two ginormous major threats that are still left, there are still other things we need to resolve. Aside from Midoriya, Shigaraki, All Might, and All for One. We still need to find out what happened to Kurogiri when he took Present Mike and Aizawa Sensei from the fortress, because they got warped to someplace else. Did they get warped? What is All Might die? What is All Might died? No. You mean Iron Man All Might? Yeah, we still need to see. We still need to see what happens from there. All Might did not die. All Might did not die because we still need to continue the fights, the confrontation between All for One and All Might. But we're just gonna have to see next week. It doesn't say that we are on break for this chapter, so I can't wait to see where things go for My Hero in next week on Sunday. What if Deku died to kill Toga? Nicole, that makes absolutely no sense. This is a kid. This is a kid saying this stuff, isn't it? Yeah, it is. It's a kid. All right, ladies and gentlemen, I had to make sure, but it is a kid saying all this stuff. What if Deku died to kill Toga? That makes no sense. I know for a fact you haven't been following along. Otherwise, you would know it makes no sense. But I'm done. I'm gonna take a short break to eat some food that my family's brought for me, and then we're gonna continue with Jujutsu Kaisen. This was a great chapter. Yes, Snow. By far one of the best chapters of My Hero. You doubt Deku dies because in the first episode he says he's the strongest hero. Like, it's literally like, okay, here's the thing. I think Nicole Norfleet is the name, but someone else is using this account to make these comments. I feel like this is a kid using their parents' account to comment. I feel like this is it because, I mean, this is not a grown adult saying all this stuff. I think this is a kid using their mom's account in order to say this stuff. I know it is. But we're going to have to see where things go from here next week. Like I said, this is one of the best chapters of My Hero I've seen thus far. Even better than the one where Shoto showed up to stop Dabi. I think this is even better than that chapter. But, like I said, I'm going to take a quick break to eat some food my family brought for me, and then afterwards we'll continue with Jujutsu Kaisen once I am done, and then I'll be done with all my reactions for today. Hitachi, also good to see you. But everyone here, all I can say at the end of the day, you're 18? Really? Really? Makes me all the more curious about these questions then. But everyone else, all I can say at the end of the day is this was one we needed because so much chaos was happening. Yes, there was so much chaos happening. But I'm glad we got a conclusion to the whole Himiko versus Uraraka fight. Because this was carrying on for a while, and sometimes we didn't even cut back to when it was going on. So we didn't know when it was going to end. But I'm glad it's finished. And I'm glad it ended on a peaceful note. But I'm done. Let me go ahead and take a break to eat some food, and then I'll see you guys again, if you want, during Jujutsu Kaisen. So to everyone, all I can say at the end of the day is, hope you all enjoyed. Can't wait to see you all in my next video. And if you enjoyed what you saw here today, then please like, subscribe, and share the stream with everyone you know, because the more the merrier. And because I am always looking forward to entertaining you. So have a fantastic day, and once again, as always, later, peoples!